Angry Manam Islanders blaming government. Wash project launched in Mount Hagen. And new board for East New Britain Business Development Corporation.
This is National MTV News with Meriba Tulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Wednesday's news. Personnel of the military hospital at Tarama Defence Force Barracks today completed 3 weeks of training on mass casualty management. The training was to prepare for any mass casualties which may arise during the APEC Leaders Summit and other future gatherings. The training was based on an American mass casualty syllabus and was facilitated by instructors from within the military hospital.
Over the last 3 weeks, about 70 personnel within the PNG Military Hospital unit were busy with an intensive mass casualty training. The trainees were introduced to different scenarios which involved bomb blasts and terrorist attacks and threats. The training ended today with a demonstration of a scenario where a section, which is a military term of a group of 10 to 13 personnel, was caught in a bomb blast while trying to disarm the bomb. Military Hospital CEO, Commander Thomas Vinit, said the training was first of its kind for the PNG Defence Force and was a way of testing their capabilities and systems in trying to prepare and manage mass casualties.
It's an opportunity. PNGDF is seeing it as an opportunity where we are testing our capabilities, because we'll always be here to deal with any disasters. So military involvement will also be continuous. So I think I would see that as an opportunity. We prepare ourselves. We see our vulnerability or limitations we have, our liabilities. So we must try to deal with our liabilities. So.
Commander Vinit said apart from APEC, the training would assist PNGDF in other mass casualties in the long run. Scenarios of the training were based on real situations and tested how the military hospital unit would react. Director of PNGDF Health Services, Lieutenant Colonel Peter Caminiel, said the training was an effort by PNGDF to assist the APEC medical team set up by the government. He added that the military hospital was on standby to assist other hospitals in the city.
Even that Bomb General and Paradise or PIH are overloaded with casualties, we will be the next one to be there. So we're just trying to enhance the knowledge that we have in terms of responding to mass casualties and major injuries, yes.
Second in charge of the military hospital and instructor of the training scenarios, Major Wanma, said the training was created according to situations which were likely to arise during the APEC Leaders Summit in November. Charlene Airy, National MTV News.
The De La Salle brothers have returned to administer the De La Salle Secondary School and are working on improving the infrastructure at the school. So far, the school has been going through renovation and changes are taking place for the young men at the school.
It has been a long time since the De La Salle brothers were running the all-boys secondary school. This year marks their return, and so far they have spent almost $1 million kina to refurbish the school. The help has been through funding secured by Cardinal Sir John Ribat, the Archbishop of Port Moresby, and Vicar General of the Archdiocese of Port Moresby, Father Ben Fleming.
Almost 42 years ago, brothers were here. They gave it to the lay partners. Then after the lay partners unable to run the school ran down. So Cardinal John Ribat, he has requested the brothers to take over. That's why I came and started my office this year.
So far, a new administration building has been constructed by Aminco PNG Limited.
Very old, 40 years old. So the school decided to renovate the classroom, make it into the administration. So now we have completed, and it's almost 250,000 kina worth of money. We got it from Lasallian Foundation Australia under the Miranda Cha.
Mason Construction have also completed classroom renovations, with Avishek Investment renovating classrooms 2 toilet blocks along with the assembly shelter.
Then we got some money from De La Salle Brothers, Australia, so to renovate the classrooms and make a small shelter for the assembly, for the footpath, and 2 new toilet blocks.
The principal also thanked the Lasallian Foundation on their continued support of bringing the school back to its former glory.
When we look at all the building and the facilities of De La Salle, it's all gone down. So all the building needs to be renovated. So they give priority to De La Salle this year. And it's not the first time they are supporting me. I was principal for 6 years at La Salle Technical College, Ogola. So they were helping me a lot. Then now I moved here, so they started to help me in order to bring this school up.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
More than 60,000 people in the Hagen Open Electorate will benefit from proper water and sanitation hygiene services in the next 4 years. Phase 1 of the WASH project was launched yesterday in Mount Hagen by the European Union, UNICEF and the Western Highlands Provincial Government. Hagen Open Electorate is one of 4 provinces implementing WASH projects in the country.
More than 20,000 children are among the total population that will benefit from the WASH project in Western Highlands Province. The receiving electorate, Hagen Open, will complement the donor partners European Union and UNICEF by helping schools access clean water as a pilot project for 4 years.
UNICEF is putting school as well, but UNICEF is making all water and sanitation programs. So this will actually help all schools law. Cultural shift law, personal hygiene law.
A 5-year plan will be developed to implement the WASH project. European Union provided 500 million kina in 2017 worldwide for WASH-oriented projects. EU Ambassador to PNG, Ioannis Georgarakis Agiropola, said the lack of access to clean water and basic sanitation is a major setback to social and economic development. Many people can catch diseases and there would be an unhealthy population in the world.
Partner with the government to attack the most acute needs, education needs, infrastructure needs, and also water, sanitation and hygiene needs.
Schools, health centers and communities in the electorate will be included in the project to improve their hygiene and sanitation. UNICEF is committed in using its technical expertise in collaborating with EU and the government to achieve this project. UNICEF is concerned about the human right of access to clean water and adequate sanitation for mothers and children.
We are trying to bring a service down to where our children are. We are trying to improve the quality of water that our children drink, where our mothers try to go and look for good water.
Governor Pius Wingti told the partners that the provincial government will also work closely with them to implement the WASH project.
And I said to her, look, we will give you all the backing, not the big backing like what the European Union and UNICEF are going to do, just to get the administration and get on the ground.
The WASH project is also expected to improve the living standard of people since they will have access to clean water and have a better life. Vasanata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
The Medang province now and affected Manam Islanders say representatives from government departments have not, including the National Disaster Office, have not gone to the island to carry out assessment on the damages caused by the recent eruption. Officer in charge of BN Health Center on Manam Island say they were not happy following reports that a team was already on the ground carrying out assessments. This is the 5th day since the eruption, and the only officers on ground were media personnel, police, IOM and PNGDF officials.
These islanders were evacuated to considered safe locations. Here they seek refuge from relatives and friends. But they are running out of clean water and food supplies. Women and young girls are out looking for clean water sources to fetch water for cooking and washing. As most of their water sources, including wells, are covered in ash or mud as a result of the eruption. while food gardens were completely destroyed.
Supposing if you don't get it by, say, a day or so, I think there are cases like asphalt, now this la. Now one place like say affected by threat long lava flow, but garden belongan by stuff you're right. Yeah, place by that asphalt, this la kind. So damages are different outlook long la. So the other person would be desperate in food, water na this la. Narapla by some ground kind of sema. So supposing if you know looks how long all this la all damages, then assistance will come up good to you.
An health officer on the ground says there were no officers on the ground conducting assessment on the damages caused by the eruption. Lucas Bam adds since Saturday, no officers from government departments went to the island. Local elders were the first people to evacuate the islanders to a safe location when the volcano erupted on Saturday.
Only no alert. That time maybe come up I'm now number 3 or number 4 day now. I'm to go say mo people that so plus plus island I'm you now plus start to look when maybe come up. So from the day one no one blow assessment when the must be come down even the meeting come down or from Bogia come up island. It was the president himself plus people media you come. And now all board members or Kukurai they were the first people or try best to move more people go outside the island go to case and find more safe area of stuff.
At around midday yesterday, the first lot of food rations were delivered to 239 households only. More food supplies are expected in the coming days. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Medang.
Acting President of Yabu LLG Bogia District says they are carrying out internal evacuation for affected villages and will not move islanders to care centers on the mainland. Kenny Bolly said they regard the care centers on the mainland as another man-made disaster. This is because the government has neglected the Manam people and have failed to resettle them permanently, leaving them at the care center for more than a decade.
More than 5,000 Manam Islanders affected by the eruption on Saturday morning are now taking refuge in considered safe on the island. Many don't want to be moved to the care centers on the mainland in Bogia. The 2 villages were completely destroyed, and those who continue to live on Manam don't have food or clean water.
Number 3 day now nakaki no kami now so tomorrow na igo and balugo sa man merio beginning back si bibla time because gaman to some kake baka na mibla ko wait number 1 and number 2 now the frustration now natin lo incident come up long balew.
Yesterday the first shipment of food rations were delivered to the islanders, but the food supplies were enough for only 239 households. The other villages, 4,700 plus islanders, still need food supplies.
Place si bagarap tu nam stop lo Yasa village, Pati Jogari, Kamlong Kuluguma, Boda, Balew am la bibla place si bibla bagarap, na Kolang, antem dangale. Partly Bokure, because Bokure am stop lo zone do paya bagodan.
Meanwhile, medical assistance is also needed on the island. BN Health Center has only one health officer. Officer in charge, Lucas Bam, says as of yesterday morning he has already treated 7 children with respiratory complaints and diarrhea. Bam is running out of medical supplies and drugs. As he says, he is expecting more patients in the coming days.
Most likely, I'm all cases of diarrhea or could be typhoid 2 by 1+2 when come out. Now, one of all respiratory diseases like pneumococcal, pneumonia, bronchiolitis, bronchitis, or this kind. Looking miss after all this 1 week. Now, what if they can look at dust and big
Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Medang.
You're watching National MTV News. We go for a break now. Still ahead, a new board for the East New Britain Development Corporation. That story and more when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Corruption is now ordered and structured. These are the words from member for Mosby Northwest and former Prime Minister Semekere Morauta. Speaking in Port Moresby today, Semekere, together with members of the parliamentary opposition, called for a change in the country's leadership, which they claim has provided an environment that has allowed corruption to flourish to a point where it is becoming a norm. Speaking immediately following this morning's question time in Parliament, members of the opposition voiced their dissatisfaction over several recent decisions relating to investigations of several matters, including the arrest warrant for Prime Minister Peter O'Neill and the controversial Manu Manu land deal. Both issues have made headlines in the media in recent days, given their potential political implications. Today, Mosby Northwest MP Semekere Morauta claimed these decisions were again another demonstration of the breakdown in standards, with the former Prime Minister claiming corruption was now more entrenched than ever under the current government.
Corruption is now, I said, standardized, ordered, it's structured. Now, every decision made now is based on, is it easier to hide money, transmit money from public pockets to private pockets? Those are the decisions. Those are all the projects that we're making now.
Furthermore, Semekere claimed the situation was becoming worse, especially with a perceived threat to parliamentary democracy.
These Papua New Guineans to come out and talk, put pressure on the other side to come across with change, because our future is at stake, and Peter O'Neill will do everything, including destroying this country, its institutions, its democracy, to stay in power.
Opposition leader Patrick Pruwich also expressed similar sentiments, saying Papua New Guineans had to stand together with the parliamentary opposition to create change at the political level.
We need to take the country forward and doing the right thing by our people. That's what leaders are there for. You are not elected to go and run down the economy. You are there to make sure that you take up responsibility. When the call comes, you've got to stand up and represent your people well. And the important thing a leader does is to make sure that vote for a government that is capable of managing the country well.
Shadow Attorney General Kerenga Kwa also weighed in, claiming the recent decisions may have been influenced by higher authorities, which he said was a danger to democracy.
The former Attorney General and the current Shadow Attorney General says that this is completely uncharacteristic of you. Until that proof, that evidence surfaces, I say that that statement was not made by him, that conclusion was not reached by him. I think this statement originates at best from the office of the Commissioner for Police, or if not from the office of the Prime Minister, taking a political position and interfering in the independence and autonomy of the police force. That's what's happened.
The swearing in of 2 women judges today at Government House has brought the total number of female judges in the country to 6. Judges Justice Royal Thompson and Justice Teresa Berrigan will be judges at the National and Supreme Court for a period of 3 years, based at the Waigani Courthouse.
Justice Royal Thompson was born in Lae and attended Bulolo Primary School from 1960 to 1965. After graduating from Australian National University in 1978, she was admitted to practice in the National and Supreme Courts of Papua New Guinea in October 1979. She was working with Young and William lawyers before she got sworn in today. After graduating from Monash University Law School in 1994, Justice Teresa Berrigan practiced law from both government and non-government organizations. Justice Berrigan has spent more than 10 years working in law and justice in Papua New Guinea. Justice Thompson and Justice Berrigan, both Australians, have great experiences working in the public and private sectors. During their swearing-in, Justice Thompson and Justice Berrigan recited the Declaration of Office, Declaration of Loyalty, and Judicial Declaration before the Acting Governor General, Job Pomat, who officiated the ceremony in the presence of Chief Justice Sesalomo Injia and Justice Amben Kandakasi. The Chief Justice said the appointment of Justice Thompson and Justice Berrigan brings the total number of permanent judges in PNG to 44.
Justice Ralph Thompson has extensive years of experience in the private legal practice sector. And Justice Teresa Berrigan has extensive years of practice in the public law sector. The appointment of the two new judges marks a record number of female judges in Papua New Guinea. They're very experienced lawyers in their respective fields of practice, and they will obviously play an important role in contributing to judicial development in Papua New Guinea, and the judiciary stands to gain from their experience.
Michelle Stephen, National EMTV News.
Eastern New Britain Governor Nakikus Konga has announced the appointment of a new board for the Eastern New Britain Development Corporation, the business arm of the Eastern New Britain provincial government. Governor Konga said the new board will replace the previous one, which is associated with allegations of maladministration. The ENBDC is one of the provincial government's financial strongholds. It keeps Eastern New Britain province on its feet during financial shortfalls.
To the people of East New Britain.
Since taking office, Governor Nakikus Konga has called for a reshuffle to the company's executive management. The governor's call follows instances of no proper record keeping of the company, and also the previous constitution used to run the company was not legit.
For the last 15 years, PSC has not been briefed about any dividend accruing from the operation of the East New Britain Corporation. There was no record, nothing whatsoever.
The East New Britain Development Corporation is a business arm of the East New Britain provincial government. The company generates about more than 100 million kina every year. The business comprises mainly stevedoring, supermarkets and huge portions of cocoa and coconut plantations.
15 years ago, there was some dividends. The company was quite small at that time, but they were clearing dividends in a transparent manner, where money coming in from dividends was earmarked to projects, attended to projects. And that is what we have missed out for the last 15 years.
The East New Britain provincial government relies on the company's profit to keep the provincial budget intact and cater to any shortfalls. And Konga says whilst the country is facing an economic downturn, the province needs the company to be operating well.
We are going through this hard time. It's a hard economic downturn in the province, in Papua New Guinea. So we have to go through this one to make sure that we will not pick up on those areas or business portfolios where they can continue to grow and sustain ourselves in a level where we can continue to grow the company.
It is understood the previous board has allegedly sold some of the company's assets, but the governor hasn't made it public as yet as to whether an investigation will be carried out. But he says the new board have been issued with a new term of reference where they are tasked to go through all the company's past records and evaluate them. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
More than 200 of Trukai's production workers in Lae stopped work last Friday and continued until this morning. This followed the suspension of 4 staff. Supply Chain General Manager Andrew Grace said the workers were suspended for violating company policies and will be reinstated if they are cleared.
This was the scene outside the Trukai Industries office in Lae yesterday. Police were present as workers refusing to return to work stood on the street. These workers stopped work on Friday following the suspension of 4 workers.
So now, right now, I'm demand blow this law over workman. I'm to reinstate this 4 man go again. Now by work come up now. Machine of production work am start now. Department will work now.
They also demanded that the management address concerns raised over the hourly rates and annual leave allowances.
One can rate us.
Chukai Supply Chain and Customer Service General Manager Andrew Grace, who spoke off camera, said the workers were suspended because of violation of company policies, which could not be discussed. Grace said although they're suspended, they're still being paid whilst suspension is reviewed. He said if they're cleared, they will be reinstated. In response to concerns raised over pay, Grace said Chukai has been compliant with PNG's labour laws, paying above the minimum wages. He further added that they are working closely with the Labour Department to resolve the issue. This morning, most of the staff returned to work. Usikopana National MTV News, Ley.
The Morobe Provincial Government and Administration will work in partnership with Trade Pacific Limited to deliver education services to all schools in the province. A MOU was signed on the weekend to launch this public-private partnership arrangement. The signing of the MOU was witnessed by senior officers from the Education Division.
The signing of the MOU will be a joint monitoring, management and delivery of education for all students from elementary to secondary school level. The signing was witnessed by the head teachers for all school levels and the senior officers of the Education Division. Morobe's Governor Ginson Saunu says the partnership will improve the quality and standard of education in the province.
There is a committee formed, and that committee will decide how to use that money. And Trade Pacific is part of that committee, and Trade Pacific will participate in all three areas.
The MOU is based on how Morobe Province will partner with Trade Pacific to deliver the government's tuition fee-free education policy that was decentralized to the province.
In this MOU, we are going to partner with the provincial government of how to, number one, deliver the commodity component, and also how to help the schools account for the cash component. So that means there'll be financial management, there'll be bookkeeping, and then there'll be auditing and a joint inspection. So we said this inspection has to be done by a committee comprising of district education officers, standard officers, church representatives, and even the treasury office at the district.
In past years, companies were criticized for not delivering materials to schools on time. There have also been cases of insufficient school materials and are not quality. The General Manager for Trade Pacific PNG Limited said the company's strength and challenge is to deliver to the remotest schools in the province.
So we said if we succeed in the remotest schools, then we've achieved what we've set out to do. Supplying in the urban schools, etc., it's easy. But the people who need it are the most remotest spots. So we have succeeded under the TFFE trial, and we are actually looking forward to achieving it here together with all the officers in the hierarchy.
Julie Badui Owa, National MTV News, Ley.
The Coffee Industry Corporation started its cupping competition on the 24th of this month in Goroka. The regional contest attracted 110 grower groups from 10 provinces, with 37 from Eastern Highlands Province, 28 from Morobe and 17 from Jiwaka. First-time participants came from Eastern Highlands, Simbu, Morobe, Madang, Milne Bay, East New Britain, Gulf and Central Provinces. Central had two groups, Mount Brown Cooperatives from Rigo and the other from remote Tapini in Goilala district. Inclusive of these participants are 25 grower groups taking part in coffee rehabilitation under CIC's Productive Partnerships in Agriculture project. CIC CEO Charles Dambui said the underlying objective of the event was to encourage production of quality coffee at the grower level in line with the coffee industry's tree to cup policy. Only 60 high-quality coffees will proceed to the 2018 National Coffee Cupping Competition, which will be held in Port Moresby from September the 8th to the 14th. The national contest will attract international coffee judges from Japan, Hong Kong, Thailand, Singapore and Australia. The 6-day regional contest is expected to end at the end of this month. First aid courses are being run in schools, with 3 secondary schools in the nation's capital already seeing their students certified in the program. The program is a partnership between the Sir Brian Bell Foundation and St. John Ambulance. It is to bring first aid to the community level through school students.
The Sir Brian Bell Foundation, in partnership with St. John Ambulance, are conducting first aid training in schools. They were at the Marineville Secondary School to hand out certificates to grade 9 students who participated in the course. So far, they have conducted the training in 2 secondary schools, with 1 school currently having the training in progress.
St John's is certainly that. It provides, health as a priority, but also education as a priority, and so it's very easy to support them. And the role that they have in the community, what they provide the community in pre-hospital care is fantastic, and we're more than happy to come on board and to support them, and will continue.
Representative of the St. John Ambulance, Lakeisha Duncan, said the students have been taught the basics of first aid and have been taught some primary healthcare skills as well.
Marineville is our second school. We're currently started on Monday at Killa Secondary School. So we have a total of about 480 students at Batihagwa initially, so we've moved on here, a total of about 239 students here, and Killa will be around about 500 students plus. So
she added that it was important for the students to learn first aid, and in turn they will help disseminating the information to friends and family.
So what we've been training in the first aid aspect is things like bleeding, wound care in the village is another one. We've fractures, snake bites, shock, CPR, which has been a big one. It takes them a little while to warm up to the fact that we have to get on someone's chest and pump out 30 compressions.
The students of Marineville were intrigued with the importance of first aid and are looking forward to making use of the newfound knowledge.
I think it would be great if people my age or younger would know their first aid as a way to practically help save a life.
Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV News.
This is Wednesday's news. We take a look at stories making headlines overseas when we come back. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, aid workers have described conditions at a refugee camp in Europe as the worst in the world. The camp on Greece's Lesbos island has capacity for around 2,000 people, but is now housing 4 times that number, and workers at Morea camp say the conditions are intolerable, especially for children, and there's horrific violence.
The paradise Greek holiday island of Lesbos. Also home to the refugee camp described as the worst on the planet. So we've been given 45 minutes only to go around the camp. This is a section for the newest arrivals. There's 7,500 people in here. It has capacity for between 2,000 and 3,000. Food is scarce, conditions are appalling, and violence is almost constant. Fewer refugees are arriving on this island than previous years, but they're not leaving. As part of the EU-Turkey deal, they're being held on Lesbos rather than moving to the mainland. While we're filming at the camp, 2 people are stabbed in the queue for food. Police block us from getting near the scene.
It starts with a fight. Now was for the food line. 2 people got stabbed, and it's always something between different communities.
MSF say conditions are leading to deep trauma, that they have children as young as 10 attempting suicide.
We are reporting this to the public system, to UNHCR, to the Minister of Health. Look, we have children as young as 10 years old who try to suicide, and there is no child psychiatrist or psychologist on this island. And despite the fact that we push to move these children to Athens as soon as possible, it's not happening.
Ali, along with many other Kurdish people, fled Moria after a huge fight there in May.
Do you think there are dangerous people in Moria?
مو باعتقادي أكيد مثل الحرب بسوريا على أبشع.
Despite conditions, boats keep coming. Almost everyone on this one from Afghanistan. Hello! They celebrate landing somewhere at least more safe, but are unaware of the new trauma that lies ahead.
It really is time to clear the air after new extensive research in China showed air pollution makes you less intelligent The 4-year study found the longer people are exposed to dirty air, the greater the damage to their cognitive abilities, and it appears men are affected more than women.
A wave of pollution rolls into the center of Beijing. Dirty air is a reality of life for many in China, in fact for billions of people around the world. And scientists now know how it can damage the lungs and the heart, how it can shorten lives. Some of the pollution we breathe in gets trapped in the nose, but tiny particles can slip into the lungs and then make their way into the bloodstream. And there's evidence they can even reach the brain. So pollution may not only have a physical effect, but a mental one as well. To explore what pollution might be doing to the mind, scientists in China embarked on a massive investigation. And they say that breathing dirty air can make people depressed and also affect their ability to focus.
People are having trouble with, for example, they can not focus on their test, or there's some chemistry change in the brain that disturbs their functioning.
This was one of the largest studies of its kind. It looked at levels of air pollution in dozens of cities across China and at the results of tests of verbal reasoning and maths taken by 25,000 people in those places. The researchers conclude that long-term exposure to air pollution impedes cognitive performance. That is a bold claim, and it doesn't provide direct evidence of cause and effect, but it does follow a few other studies that have also suggested that polluted air may affect the brain. So a link is thought to be possible.
There's a few things that we need to resolve, but certainly those red flags, there's more of them, and it just adds to the weight of evidence that air pollution has a wide range of effects in your body.
This matters because most of the world's population lives in air that's polluted. India, for example, has some of the dirtiest conditions. And as the research into pollution advances, and we learn more about the impacts, it may turn out to be that they're not only physical, but mental as well. Air pollution is a threat from Africa to here in Britain. And its true implications may only become obvious in the decades ahead.
You're watching National EMTV News. We go for a break now. When we come back, some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with AFL, and 16-year-old Hewago Aces Owea signed a 2-year contract with Queensland Premier AFL team, the Gold Coast Suns, and is fitting in well with the team. That, according to AFL Development Manager Ben Drew. Drew says Ace has worked hard for this opportunity and has a lot of support from his family and the Gold Coast Suns. Ace has one more season to go to complete his contract.
After signing his 2-year contract with Gold Coast Suns AFL team earlier this year, and update from AFL Development Manager for South Pacific Ben Drew says 16-year-old Ase is fitting in well with the Suns. He says Ase is being supported by his family and his new team, with education his #1 priority.
Finished this season off and he's got next season down at the Gold Coast Suns. He's a tremendous young man. He's 16. He's not 17 until November, so he's with a host family at the moment. He's doing some education, some schooling, which is extremely important and something that we really want all our young people to be provided a good education and a good base to start life with. So we're supporting him through that, and the Suns are really supportive as well.
Drew says Ase has been working extremely hard both on and off the field this season, but unfortunately he and his team didn't make the final. Ase, who has one more season with Gold Coast Suns, is currently playing in his local club competitions. Drew says Ase is also in review to get him ready for his pre-season competitions. Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
And South Pacific Airfield Development Manager Ben Drew says the PNG Under-17 Kurakums are currently in preparation to attend the Queensland Youth Airfield Tournament on the Gold Coast in September. He says there are opportunities for players to progress into bigger competitions depending on individual performances.
The female path is mirrored alongside the boys, so it's an equal path. We have starting at our Paradise Foods New Kick entry point for all the girls that would like to come down and play, and then the ones that participate in their schools and their clinics and programs, through to our competitions, and then through to our talent program. So the Under-17 Kurukum girls this year, they're heading down, they'll fly out on the 21st of September and they'll fly down to Brisbane, and we'll drive up to the Sunshine Coast and we'll spend the week playing in the Under-17 Youth Girls Queensland Championships. And again, if those young ladies are playing really well and doing all the things right, they're eligible to play for Queensland and stick around, and into 19 become part of the Under-18 Queensland team, which then go play in the Youth Girls National Championships. So last year I think they were in Perth, which is quite a big journey from Port Moresby, PNG.
Don't go anywhere, we'll have more of Trukai Sports after these messages.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. To Rugby League now, and the Oil Search PNG Orchids had an afternoon training session today at the National Football Stadium. Coach David Wesley says preparations have been good and they're looking forward to the match this weekend.
Coach David Wesley named the captain and vice-captain for this weekend's match at today's training session. Jenny Sue Happer was named captain, while Carol Humeo was named vice.
She's got a long history of playing in the Jillaroos in recent years. She's a very good player. She's a really good halfback and a great leader. So that's the reason why I chose her as a captain. Carol, why I picked her is she had a really good tournament last year. She was player of the tournament for our team. She showed great leadership just by her actions. Very good off the field as well.
Wesley says Happer brings with her a wealth of experience in the game and is a proven leader both on and off the field.
Already when she's come into camp, she's showed great leadership and just mentoring all the girls. Her communication has been non-stop since Sunday, since we got into camp, and everyone respects her. She doesn't talk down to them, she talks at the same level as all our players, and I've had a really good relationship with her, discussing game plans and things like that, because I like to get feedback, especially from my halves. So I think she's a great pick, and everyone is happy.
The team has been bonding well, with many players passing fitness tests apart from niggling injuries.
Very happy. Some of the younger girls have actually opened up. They were really quiet at the start, and now they're starting to just open up and speak to each other, and I think the confidence is really good at the moment.
The team leaves for Brisbane on Friday for the match on Sunday against the Brisbane Broncos NRL women's team at 1:30 p.m. Elijah Levette, National EMTV Sports.
And that ends Trukai Sports for this evening. We'll go for a break. When we come back, the weather forecast for the next 24 hours.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
Quick look at the weather for the next 24 hours. In the southern region, mostly fine for Port Moresby and Daru. Some showers expected for Kerma, Alotau and Popondetta.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's the news, sport and weather for today, Wednesday, the 29th of August, 2018. But stay tuned, we have another interesting My Province, My Country, 43 Years On episode this evening. We take a ride up the mighty Sepik River in hunt of the crocodile in East Sepik Province. You don't want to miss that. But right now, on behalf of the entire EMTV News team, pleasant viewing. Good night.